Despite being a 1.5 unit, Evelyn is still an amazing Fire DPS, which is getting her rerun right now. In this video, we're going over her gameplay, builds, mindscapes, and teams, so you can understand everything about her and also get the best out of your Evelyn. First, let's talk about the gameplay. Evelyn is a character that mainly deals damage by using chain attacks. Not only does she get an extra multiplier on her additional ability, she can also trigger chain attacks on demand. By generating resources and getting enough stacks, you can just hold down your basic attack, and this is going to consume her stacks to trigger a chain attack on the enemy that deals exactly the same amount of damage as the default chain attack, the one that you trigger once you stun the enemy. And while yes, you can spend these to deal good sustained damage on the enemy, it's actually better for you to try to save all of these for the stun window, where you can benefit from things like stun multiplier and many other buffs that sometimes are only active on the stun window. All this resource management and also the rotations themselves that can be a little bit tricky on the stun window makes Evelyn a little bit harder to play compared to most agents. Not as harder as okmuzzy, and if you do understand that you just need to save your resources for the stun window, you're actually good. Here's a quick example of an average rotation. You forget to save your resources and you trigger the stun with your stunner, you do chain attack on Evelyn, chain attack on stunner, chain attack on the support unit, and go back into Evelyn. Spend your ultimate, and maybe you can trigger a second chain attack here. You get a total of 2 chain attacks and the ultimate on the stun window. Pretty basic, but you're leaving a lot of damage out of the table if you decide to do this. In my opinion, you should try to achieve at the very least 4 chain attacks on every single stun window. And 4 chain attacks is not even that hard. It doesn't require you to go for manual chain or anything. It just requires you to save your resources and do the rotation properly. You stun the enemy using the stunner, go for Evelyn, but instead of doing the stunner chain attack or anything, you just cancel the chain attack right here and you hold down the basic attack to spend stacks and trigger a chain attack. You swap to another unit, and once Evelyn hits the snap, you trigger another chain attack and go back into Evelyn. That's already 3 chain attacks. Now you can spend all the remaining of your resources and the ultimate here as well, so you can hit the 4th chain attack on the same stun window. Depending on how fast you're doing this, and if you have Lighter or Astra on your team, then you can even go for 5 chain attacks. But 5 chain attacks requires other units and even amazing rotations from you. So I would not sweat that much and recommend you going for 5 chain attacks. If you can do 4, you're already doing amazing. So focus on at the very least 4 chain attacks on every single stun window by saving these resources, as I mentioned before. This means that for skill upgrade priority, focus on her core skill as usual, since it's a lot of crit rate that you get from it. And after this, you should focus on the chain attacks and ultimate, since these are the main source of damage for Evelyn. After this, you go for basics and special attacks, so you're going to use these on the field to generate resources for you on the stun window. And then you finish it up with your dodges and assists, depending on how many spare resources you have and how much you use these attacks. And now let's talk about builds. For these stats, the best options are going to be Hormone Punk and Astral Voice. Hormone Punk is really strong, but requires you to play around the cooldown, because if you end up activating this outside of stun window, you pretty much have no 4-piece on your Evelyn, and this means you're just losing a lot of damage. Astral Voice is really interesting, especially because right now you can just play Astra on Moonlight Lullaby, which means you can use Astral Voice on Evelyn herself. As long as Evelyn uses a quick assist right before the stun window, you have 15 seconds of 24% damage buff. So this is more than enough for you to deal a lot of damage, not to mention that this is also going to be active outside of the stun window. So overall, I would highly recommend you going for Astral Voice if you don't feel like playing around the cooldowns of Hormone Punk. I would not recommend you going for Woodpecker Electro, since it also requires you to make adjustments on your rotation. You need to do basic attacks in order to get at the very least 1 stack. You need to do EX specials if you want to get 2 stacks right before the stun window. And not to mention that Evelyn already gets a lot of crit rate. The 8% crit rate from Woodpecker can make you overcap crit rate. An easy to use option would be Swing Jazz, but the damage potential is nowhere near close to any of these options. And not to mention the 2-piece effect from Swing Jazz is kinda useless. And for the 2-piece set, Perfect Electro is one of the best options, assuming you're not running Nicole on your team. But Inferno Metal, Astral Voice, Branch and Blade Song, and maybe even Woodpecker Electro can be good options depending on your sub stats. Overall, just focus on the best disc that you can find with good sub stats, and you're good to go. For Disc 4, the best options are going to be attack and crit damage. Crit rate is not recommended since it's really easy for you to overcap crit rate, unless you're not using a crit rate engine, which in this case, crit rate can be an option here. For Disc 5, penetration is always going to be the best option for you, unless you're using Nicole on your team, which in this case, penetration is going to be the worst option, and you should go for damage and attack instead. And for Disc 6, there's not too much to talk about, we just go for attack. It's the only offensive option for slot 6. And for substats, focus on crit rate, crit damage, and attack percentage. These 3 offers the highest damage potential for you, but just keep an eye to not overcap the crit rate. If you go above 100% crit rate, you're just basically having a dead substat, which is not adding any damage for you. After this, flat penetration, flat attack, and some anomalous proficiency can add some damage for you, but nowhere near close to these first 3. And now let's talk about weapons, and it might be no surprise for you that Heartstring Nocturne is going to be the best option for her. Not only the crit value it provides is insanely good, the buff just matches Evelyn perfectly. It provides 24% crit rate, 50% crit damage, and makes all of your chain attack and ultimate ignore up to 25% of the enemy fire resistance at phase 1. And as I mentioned before, most of Evelyn damage comes from chain attacks and ultimates, so it's just the perfect match. Just for you to have an idea, the second best option is going to be Soldier MB Signature, and that's still 16% less damage than her signature engine. And if you don't have access to limited engines, the best free-to-play options are going to be on average 26% less damage than Heartstring Nocturne. So honestly, if you have the chance, go get this engine. It's really good for any attacker unit in general, but it's amazing for Evelyn. And now let's quickly talk about Mindscapes. I'm not going to do a deep dive on these Mindscapes, but basically I don't recommend you pulling Evelyn Mindscape. All of these Mindscapes, they are adding different buffs, which makes it really interesting for Evelyn because once you stack everything, you can get good damage potential out of her. But truth is, instead of pulling Evelyn Mindscapes, you can just pull your support agent's Mindscapes and actually achieve better damage potential, as you can see right here. Overall, get her signature instead, and if you really want to increase damage potential out of her Evelyn, go for your support Mindscapes before going for Evelyn Mindscape. Okay, unless you're looking for the name card, then go for Mindscape 6, I guess. And now let's talk about team compositions. In the best in slot, the premium option is going to be Lighter and Astra. Lighter provides insanely good fire buffs for Evelyn, and Evelyn can make use of every single one of these buffs. And Astra just provides insanely good buffs, and the extra chain attacks that she provides on her ultimate just means more damage for Evelyn. But you probably already know this, right? This is the same premium team since Evelyn released on the 1.5. You want to hear other stuff, so let's talk about other team options. The general idea is that you want a stunner and you want a unit that can provide quick assist back into Evelyn. The reason why you want a quick assist is because it just makes your rotation feels way better, because Evelyn always stays on the field doing a special attack. So having access to quick assist allows you to skip this animation and go back to Evelyn. And the stunner agents, they allow you to hit your stun window faster, which means better damage potential for Evelyn, since you can then spend all the resources as fast as possible. Good options for the stun slot is of course going to be Lighter, but you can also use Qingyi, since Qingyi provides amazing stun multipliers on the enemy. You can also go for Jifufu, since you're still providing base potential even while Evelyn is still building up her resources, but Jifufu also provides extra decibels, chain attack damage, and crit damage for your Evelyn. So overall, really good buffs for her. If you want more free-to-play options, you can go for Pulchra at Mindscape 6, for example, since Mindscape 6 allows you to make use of Pulchra damage buff, or you can also go for Coleda, since Coleda provides chain attack damage on stun windows. For the utility slot, any support unit works right here, since all of them provides quick assist for the next unit, but you can also use Orphe, which just released, since she is a DPS unit that also provides utility for your Evelyn, such as an attack buff, and also the quick assist I just mentioned that allows you to go back to Evelyn while doing the chain attack stuff. I just want to point out that if you're going for Orphe, I highly recommend using Lighter, since Lighter can increase the damage potential of both Orphe and Evelyn at the same time. But there are some exceptions to this, and you can definitely play some other team compositions, such as Seed Teams, Seed, Evelyn, and a support agent. Seed, base potential is definitely above the average compared to most attacker agents, and not to mention that Seed is also providing good buffs for your Evelyn. You can also play 2 support units instead of using a stunner, such as Astra Nicole, for example, but the problem with this team is that while you are increasing the damage potential, you are slowing down the stun window by quite a lot, so if you rely on stun windows to deal damage, this could actually be a DPS loss for you. And that should be everything for my Evelyn guide. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments down below, or join my Discord server, or you can also catch me live both on Twitch and YouTube and drop your questions in the chat. Thank you so much for watching this video. Have a good day, good night, wherever you are, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.